everybody. How's everyone doing? Happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you guys can see me and that I'm going to get some comments out here today. But anyways, this is Meena from Destination CEO. Super excited to be with you today on Mondays with Meena show. Today's topic is really, really, really important. If you are struggling with your job search, or you are struggling with getting started, or you are in a job and you want to grow and you're trying to figure out how to. Well, today's topic is about SMART goals. I know you've heard most likely this term before, and many of you already have your SMART goals set up. But there are still very many people that may have goals set up, but they're not really SMART goals. So let's first go into the concept of SMART goals. Hey, before I get started, I have this book that I'm reading. It's one of my favorite books, Who Moved My Cheese? And this is the reason why today's topic is so important, because guess what? Everybody's cheeses have moved. And I have all of these notes. So, I come prepared. I've written down all the notes to make sure I don't miss anything important that I need to share. But if I do miss it, because I get so excited meeting with you and talking to you, then I want to make sure that I put it in the comments so that you can, when you're watching the recorded version, you can check out the comments. So let's talk about the concept of SMART goals. You see, whenever we start something, regardless of it being jobs or moving to a new country or planning a new initiative in life, we need to create some sort of an action plan, some sort of a goal. In the subcontinent, in the South Asian subcontinent, whenever a girl is born, the first thing, specifically in our families, I know in my family, when a girl is born, the first thing people think of, or the moms think of, is, okay, she's going to grow up, we're going to get her married to this kind of person, and these are how many gold sets or diamond sets or pearl sets and jewelry we're going to give. A boy is born and they talk about, oh, he's going to be an engineer, he's going to be a doctor, right? But nobody thinks about, what do these people really want to do when they grow up? So it's something like that. When we start our job search, and today's topic is about setting your job search SMART goals. When we start a job search, it's not important to only say, I'm looking for a job, or, I'm looking for a job as a specific thing. So I'm going to, of course, relate it with my story, because many of your stories that have come to me and you've talked to me about these things are quite relatable. So when I came to Canada and I started my job search journey in 2001, I was lost. I was so very, very lost. Well, I needed any job, but I cannot just take up any job. The goal was, I need a job so I could send my kids to daycare, because my son had lost his speech. He needed to hang out with kids his own age so that he can pick that up. But I had bills to pay. My husband was struggling. We were newcomers, had no idea. So in 2001, when I started my job search, I had to first look at all of my skill set. What was I bringing to the table? You see, when I came from Dubai, my skill set were in administration, so office admin. My skill sets were, I was an entrepreneur, I was an events planner. So I had all of those skills, but when I had to relate it to a particular job in Canada, I was really struggling, because the specific skills I had were very specific to Dubai. I didn't understand the concept of soft skills. I didn't understand the concept of transferable skills. I was lucky to find somebody who explained to me the transferable skills and the soft skills and helped me create a resume so that I can start applying for jobs. And when I started looking at, okay, based on my transferable skills, what are some of the jobs I could apply for? And those jobs happen to be more in the administrative field. So it would be receptionist, customer service, administrative assistant, right? So I started looking for those jobs. So my first the S of SMART, which was being specific, was to do a skills inventory and create those specific job titles that I would be targeting, right? So that's the first step you need to do. Pick or create your specific job title. The second thing is M, measurable. Now, measurable comes in different aspects, right? Measurable could be money. Measurable could be how many resumes do I have to send or will I send in the 24 hours that I have on a daily basis to achieve the kind of results that I'm trying to achieve, right? How many recruiters am I going to connect with? How many connections, relevant connections I'm going to make? So measurable falls under different categories, and what my measure is may not be your measure. So for example, when I started my career as a receptionist, I knew that that was the start of my career, right? But when I started, when they asked me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Obviously, if I was following an administrative route, it would be as an office manager or, the executive assistant. So if you are in a role, if you are currently working and you are in a role, where do you see yourself in 3 years? That's really important. And I'm going to get to that. Okay. So measure was, for me, I need to get a job so I can make, this amount of money in order to send my son to daycare. Now, obviously, if I'm trying for an entry-level position, I knew in those days, 2001, it was difficult to make a salary which would not only pay for my son's daycare, but also give me leftover money so that I can pay for my expenses. So really had to figure out what is it, how much do I need to make, and where can I get started? So I picked nonprofits as an organization, and that's where I started, so that a part of their benefits could pay for my son's daycare. So in terms of measure, when you are starting your job search and when you're sitting down to write down this goal, the measure really needs to be, what salary do I need to make? And do your math. Understand the tax system in Canada. I was talking to somebody and they said to me, I was targeting 80, but I got 65. And I said, okay, well, actually got 62. So I said, okay, let's break it down in terms of what is the tax bracket and how much what would be the difference in paycheck. And we realized it wasn't that much different. So understand the tax brackets of Canada and look at what is the salary you need to make, do your math, and figure out where you can get that kind of salary, right? How many recruiters are you going to connect? So going back to my story, because that's one thing that I'm going to be going through here. When I decided I need to get a job, there were two main agencies that I joined. One was Robert Half. Robert Half at that time, perhaps even now, but at that time was one of the top agencies for administrative positions. So I went there. They did the technical test, which was typing in Microsoft and Excel, and they I registered and they started sending me for interviews. Unfortunately, none of those interviews came through, but that's besides the point. And the other one that I signed up for was Manpower. And I'll tell you the whole story about Manpower. Manpower was for survival jobs, was really for factory positions. And I was so desperate and I was so lost that I didn't really know that, taking up a factory job, because I needed money, right? My child needed daycare. I needed money. So I would do anything. But really, had I taken up a factory job at that time, would that really get me to where I am today? So you really need to question yourself. How many recruiters are there? How many do you need to connect with? Let's say you've reached out to the 3 top recruiters in your industry, right? And you're not hearing from them. Are you going to sit and wait? Or are you going to try to contact 3 other recruiters, right? How desperate are you to achieve your success? I was talking to somebody yesterday and they were frustrated. Uh, she was so frustrated and she was so angry. And I said, why are you so angry? She's been in Canada for 3 months. She's been applying for jobs. She got a few interviews and she was being ghosted. That's become a term right now. And I said, I completely understand your frustration of being ghosted, but you don't know the reason of your being ghosted. If it is one recruiter and that recruiter is following up with their manager, they're not hearing back, perhaps that's the reason why they haven't responded to you. I mean, maybe that recruiter lost a job. There have been a lot of agencies that have furloughed their recruiters. It could have been any reason. So instead of getting angry and frustrated for things that are not in your control, focus on things that are in your control. What can you do? You reach out to other recruiters. There are many of them. You reach out to corporate recruiters. You reach out to companies, right? So measure needs to be specific to the target that you're trying to achieve, that specific job title. And how many recruiters, how many connections, relevant connections you're going to make, right? What kind of salary that you're targeting. Then comes the achievable parts, right? If you are looking to get that job title and you know the kind of salary that you're trying to target based on the math that you've done, based on the industry standards, based on the market that is available out there, right? Is it really an achievable goal based on your skills, based on your experience? Is that an achievable goal? You have to create goals that are achievable. Sometimes we have to start somewhere in order to get to where we want to be. So when I did my skills and mentoring, I realized, okay, all of my transferable skills could relate to an administrative role, right? Then I had to focus on what are these administrative roles? Where can I get it? And one of the major things, and I was hurt when I was told, oh, you have no Canadian experience. Now, nobody can discriminate you by saying you don't have Canadian experience because it's against the law. 20 years ago, there was no such law. I was told on my face, sorry, you don't have Canadian experience. And I'm like, what kind of Canadian experience do I need to type? Typing is same in Dubai than it is here. I was a technical writer, for God's sake. I did engineering manuals for, skyscrapers in Dubai. Like, give me a break. But of course, I was told I didn't have Canadian experience. So what was I going to do? Well, that's when I reached out to the person who helped me with my resume. And I said, okay, I keep getting this. I have no Canadian experience. How do I get this Canadian experience? Nobody's going to give me a job. How the heck am I going to get this Canadian experience? And I'm sure that each and every one of you are asking that question when you're struggling with this particular reasoning. Even if you're not told, you know, it's there. Sometimes those biases are there. So she said to me something very interesting. She said, have you considered volunteering to get this Canadian experience? Now, remember, I was desperate for a job because I needed to make money to send my kid to daycare. So that time when she told me, I need to work for free with somebody, like, come on, I'm desperate. So she's like, okay, well, then go work for a factory. You know, I had to take a step back and I had to say, yeah, I know I'm desperate, but where is this factory job going to really lead me? Right? And I thought, okay, let me put a goal that I will volunteer for a month, as much as I can. And if by the end of the month, because that's all I had left, my finances, by the end of the month, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, I have no joy. I have no choice. I will take up the factory job. So I started volunteering. I went back to a nonprofit, YMCA. I'd been rejected from there. And I said, can I volunteer here, please? And I also volunteered for Ministry of Community and Social Services. I gave myself 1 month to volunteer and get that Canadian experience and be able to use that Canadian experience to get myself a job. So as I was volunteering at the Y for 3 days a week. I was volunteering at the ministry for 2 days a week. I was gaining that experience. I was updating my resume and I was applying. And I am not kidding with you. When my book comes out and you're going to buy the book and you're going to read, you're going to see what happens with it. But both those agencies, the ministry and the Y, offered me a job. And guess what? When the Y offered me a job, a part of the benefits was 50% off on daycare. So my goal of getting my son into a daycare was achieved through my position. Now, obviously, you know, my goals are different, were different. And as I have moved in my life, my goals now are different. So as you're starting your goal, think about when you achieve that specific job title, where do you see yourself in growth? If you're working in a job, and this is one thing I say to all of my students and all of my participants, getting a job is easy. It's growing and retaining that position. It's tough. So if you have already started a job, the first 6 months, you need to do everything possible to hone in your skills and to prove yourself, to show your employer that they made the best decision in hiring you, in investing in you. So that's what I did. I did everything possible to be a superstar in my position. So my first 6 months was proving myself and my skill set to my employer. And the second 6 months was growing my skill set. So the R in SMART, it needs to be result oriented. Okay, it needs to be realistic. If I start in a position and I say, you know what, I'm joining this role as a receptionist, but really I want to be an office manager. So I'm just going to work this job. My goal is going to be when that position does become open, I'm going to apply for it. Well, you need to prove yourself. What if I didn't really prove my leadership qualities or my team player qualities or my technical skills, my attitude, my enthusiasm, my relationship building? Nobody would have thought of me to be an office manager, which, manages the entire team. they're still going to look at me as a receptionist. So in your case, when you're starting with your job search, right, you're setting up these realistic goals, right? Have it result bound. So based on the current circumstances, based on your understanding of the industry, based on those measurable goals that you're achieving or you're trying to achieve, is this a realistic goal? So if you're starting off your career and you say, I want to make $100,000 as a new grad or as a newcomer, that could very well be a realistic goal. But if the market is doing really, really bad, and really the average salary is 75 or 80, then to expect that 100,000 right as you start is being a little unrealistic, right? So have it result bound. Going back to what I said, how many recruiters are you going to connect with? How many corporate recruiters are you going to connect with? How many relevant connections are you going to make? How many hiring managers are you going to connect with? You know, it needs to be result bound. If I've contacted 3 recruiters, they haven't responded to me, as I said earlier, I'm going to just put the phone down and say, well, you know what? My measure was, I was going to contact 3, so I've done that. They've ghosted me. I'm done. No, unless you get 3, that's the result, right? Unless you know what you want and you go after it. Oh my God, so many of you are here. Love you guys, miss you guys. Kiran, Vikrant, Amrita, Abdul Latif, hi. Sorry, I just saw your messages. I'm thrilled to have you here. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. All right, so let's go back to this. Okay, considering I have so many of you here, let's talk about this realistic stuff. I needed a job as soon as possible. I knew it was going to be a receptionist or a customer service role. I got what I wanted. Now I need to grow. So if my goal is that in 3 years, I want to be the office manager, I need to learn the software inside out. I need to prove myself. I need to showcase my abilities. If I'm a job seeker, like I said, if I decide every single day I'm going to connect with 5 relevant connections, right? I will connect with them on LinkedIn. I will email them. I will try everything possible so that I have 5 informational interviews lined up. Just because I've connected, it's not a result enough. I need to hear back from them. And sometimes it takes time. So I used to say to all of my students, and Kiran, I don't know if you remember, but I would have these cold calling classes with my students. And I would actually cold call employers in my class in those specific times. And I would not hang up unless and until each of my students had an informational interview lined up for themselves. So make a list and try to connect with them. If it's by phone, it's even better, because guess what? It's difficult for people to say no on the phone. So I hope you get the realistic part, the result-bound part. Now it's about time. You cannot simply have a goal unless it's time-bound. And I'll tell you the importance of time. So going back to my own career start, I knew that I had money for a month. I knew that if within a month I didn't get the job, I'd have to take up a factory job. And nothing against factory jobs, please don't get me wrong. It was just that my goals were different and I needed to do other stuff. So, you know, I knew that if I didn't get what I wanted in 30 days, I'd have to take up something else. So my time was set. In your case, what is the time frame you've given yourself? Again, think of the SMART principle, right? Based on realistic expectations, do you think that if you're giving yourself 4 weeks, that there are enough opportunities and it is a realistic time? Is it a realistic time for you to be successful? In some cases, yeah, of course. Some cases, no. Because if you look at just the hiring structure from concept where, it's determined that there is a job required, to the time it's posted, to the time position is closed, to the time that the 3 levels or 2 levels of interviews done, the phone screening, the face-to-face, the offer, right? In most cases, it's 3 levels of interviews. So it usually takes a couple of weeks. So you should always give a time frame of 6 to 8 weeks to yourself. And that's what we do in our 6-week express bridging program, where we put a time frame of 6 weeks that you should start getting offers. And if you're not, we need to figure out why. So going back to setting up a goal for yourself, following the SMART principle, you need to put a time frame. If you're trying everything, let's say you've said, you know what, in 6 weeks, I'm going to get a job. Now, if I set that goal right now, that in 6 weeks I'm going to get a job, understanding half month of December is most likely going to be holiday period. Is that realistic for me? Maybe, maybe not. Really depends on how hard I want to hustle, how my industry is doing right now, how many jobs I'm going to target, how many people I'm going to meet, right? So whenever you set up these SMART goals, the time for achieving your goal, you need to ensure that you are being just to yourself. Okay, you may want to get everything day one, but that there is a systematic approach, that there has to be a strategy in place, right? So give yourself time and don't get frustrated. I know, easier said than done. And trust me, all of my students, all of my participants, they'll set up the 6 to 8 weeks goal. Come week 4, I'm not getting a job. What's happening? I'm getting ghosted. Well, when we decided it's going to be 6 weeks and it's going to be 8 weeks till you start your offer, getting nervous in week 4 to figure out why certain things are not happening, relevant. If you're doing everything based on the strategy that you have designed for yourself, okay? But getting frustrated when things are just about to happen for you, that's not going to help you, and it's not going to give you that right attitude when you approach people that you're trying to approach. So that's the principle of SMART goal. Now let's talk about the other 2 aspects that are not really highlighted in this principle. And that is getting inspiration. In a lot of resumes, we see people saying, I'm self-motivated. But I know that, when you're trying something and it's not working out, that motivation, that frustration, the lack of motivation takes over. And then you get so angry that you're like, oh, I'm not going to do it. It's not going to work anyways. That's when you need a mentor. And a mentor doesn't have to be an industry leader. A mentor doesn't have to be somebody that is, in a senior position. A mentor could be another job seeker who is going through that journey or who has just completed their journey. One thing I love about social media is that now more than ever, people are sharing their stories of struggles. They're sharing their challenges, and people are connecting. I mean, many of you connecting with me because I have shared my story of struggle, right? And many of you are relating and resonating with me. You know, my plan when I was desperate, I ended up in social welfare. Yeah, it's not easy for me to say, but I didn't have a choice. That money that I said that I had for a month, yeah, it was money that was given to me as welfare because all my money ran out in the first year and a half of us being unemployed. So all of our savings, our nest egg, everything was gone. But that was a part of my life, right? The system, I'm in this beautiful country. We're all in this beautiful country called Canada. Government has created systems to help you. Nobody's going to leave you. They're all here to support you. So if you're struggling, it's okay. It's okay to put your hand out and say, I need help. And then guess what? When you're in a situation where you can help, then you become the giver. Then you become the helper. So there is no shame in asking for help. And that's why it's important when you're creating your SMART goal, is once you've done that and you're struggling with the first few items that of your job search, reach out to somebody who's going through or has recently been through that journey and ask them, how did they motivate themselves? Nobody's going to come to motivate you. You need to be your own inspiration. And you know what is the best way to inspire yourself, to motivate yourself? Is to look back at all of those things that you had to go through in order to get where you are. I'm sure you had challenges, but you overcame them. As I said in one of my other videos, it's you that can make a difference. Only you, nobody else. So as much as we think that, oh, you know what, people are going to come out to help me, people don't know or have the time to help you, but they will if you reach out to them. So reach out to them, okay? And then another very important thing, and this is the final bit, is write down your SMART goal and create your action plan. Next week when you come back, and I hope you do, I will help you address your success blockers, your internal success blockers and your external success blockers, and help you create your action plan. But today and this week, I want you to really look at that SMART principle and create your specific goal and write it down. And guess what? There's something more exciting for you. But before I get there, when you're writing down your SMART goal, and similar to what I was saying to you earlier, that I could have taken a factory job and started making money immediately, right? But how would that have resulted in me achieving my professional goal 2 years, 3 years? Maybe it would have. Maybe I could have gotten from a line person to an office in a manufacturing outlet. It could have. And it's happened to many. But I was so lost at that time. It was my first time job searching in my life and really did not have that knowledge or guidance to begin with. But when you're creating your SMART goal, try to link it to your professional goals. Whatever it is that your personal goals are, right? You need to make money. You need to find a job. How is that job going to help you achieve your professional goal? So if you're in the finance sector and you're really struggling to get a job in the finance sector, what would be the most entry-level position you can start off in the finance sector so that you see yourself in the kind of role that you plan professionally for yourself, right? So always link your personal goal to your professional long-term goal. And when you're creating your SMART goal, do a short-term SMART goal. So a SMART goal, 6 weeks from now, this is the kind of position that I will be starting at. And when I start there, 3 years or 2 years from there, these are some of the things I'm going to do to get to this particular place that I see myself in. So when you create your short-term and your long-term SMART goal, you will very clearly see the path laid out in front of you. So I hope that this session was helpful, and I am just trying to see my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything. So specific, measurable, achievable, result-bound, and time frame. So remember that, okay? 2, if you want a handout that can help you write down your SMART goal, all you have to do is direct message me on LinkedIn, and I will share it with you. Now, another thing is something that's really exciting that I would like to share with you, that every week, starting from this week, I will be introducing a topic. So this week, for example, is SMART goals. And then on Thursday evening at 6:30, yes, write it down on your calendar, make an alert, follow me. 6:30 in the evening, Eastern Standard Time, Toronto time, I am going to bring in my industry experts to discuss SMART goals and get their opinions. So that would be the best time for you to ask any questions you may have about this particular topic. So 6:30 this Thursday, yes, I will be back on live with Biju Misra, who just happens to be my mentor too. Yes, I will be back with him. We will be discussing SMART goals again. And I invite all of you watching the show right now or watching the recorded version to join us and ask any questions that you may have relevant to the SMART goals that you're working on. Thank you so much. Do I have any questions here? So before I go, let me just say hello to my friends. Hello, Meena. Hi, Vikrant. Kiran, great to see you. Ahmed Ali, hello, hello. How are you? Great to have you here. Abdul Latif, hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for agreeing. Oh my God, Amrita. Hi, Amrita. Hope you're doing well. Hi, Nissan. Nice to meet you. Wow, there's a question here. Guys, if you know any recruiter or anyone who can help me find opportunity as an administrative assistant, please let me know. So Ahmed Ali, there are lots of recruiters out here that specifically look into administrative assistant position. Robert Half, Randstad, TBS recruitment. There are lots of recruiters. So what I will recommend that you do is you Google recruiters in the specific area that you are, and you'll find a list of them. And then you can check out what are the positions that they've posted. Or another fun way, type in admin assistant on LinkedIn Jobs or on Indeed, and you will see a bunch of positions that will be posted, and look at which recruiters have posted it. That's the easiest way to find recruiters. So please do that. I hope that this has answered your question. Does anybody else have any questions? You're welcome. Okay, sometimes it takes time for the questions to show up. So like I said, I will be back again with Biju Misra on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. live on LinkedIn to answer any questions that you may have. So welcome to that one, and make sure that you come with your questions. Once again, thank you so much. I hope this lesson was helpful. Remember, next week, we're going to create an action plan based on these SMART goals. So get your SMART goals ready, ask the questions you have on Thursday, and let's start working on your action plan. This is Meena Dolwani from Destination CEO. I want to wish you all a beautiful start of this wonderful week. Stop getting frustrated. Let's get some action happening. Okay. All the best. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you.